Hello there and welcome to World News Program, coming to you live from Algiers on All 24 News. I'm your host, Greenfield Zachary, and up next are the headlines. Hezbollah announces leader Hassan Nasrallah killed in Zionist airstrikes, vowing to continue for the fight for Gaza. And in Lebanon, 1,640 were killed, including women and children, as brutal Zionist airstrikes surge. 7 paramedics among the fallen in a day of devastation with 216 strikes recorded. Hezbollah mourns loss of leader as crisis deepens, nearly 1 million displaced, and UN calls emergency meeting. And Algeria denounces heinous attacks as Lebanon looks to diplomacy and Resolution 1701 for hope. Tragedy continues in Gaza. 9 martyrs and 41 wounded as airstrikes hit schools sheltering displaced. Algeria and Slovenia stand firm for a just resolution, while Algerian-Mauritanian talks address Middle East turmoil. Algeria, Nigeria and Niger unite for progress. Tripartite meeting to propel Trans-Saharan gas pipeline project. Strategic partnership strengthened as Algeria welcomes Nigerian executives into Sonatrach's training programs. That and more right after the break. Well, hello again and welcome to the program. First off in our file, Lebanon or Lebanese Government Emergency Committee has reported that the death toll from the Zionist aggression has climbed to 1,640, with 8,408 injured since October 8th. Environment Minister Nasser Yassin highlighted that among the victims are 104 children and 194 women, with many more still unaccounted for. In the last 24 hours alone, 11 people were killed and 108 injured due to the ongoing Zionist airstrikes. Occupation airstrikes intensified. The strikes on Ain al-Delb east of Sidon, which have resulted in the deaths of 24 people and injuries to 29 others, as reported by Lebanese media. The strikes targeted a 5-story building housing displaced persons, according to initial estimates from Lebanon's Ministry of Health. Additionally, Zionist warplanes attacked a civil defense center in Tyre Deba and Humeen, killing 7 paramedics and injuring others. The bombardments extended to Tyre, Nabatea, and Baalbek, leading to further casualties across southern and eastern Lebanon. On Sunday still, Lebanese Ministry of Health reported that 21 people have been killed in Zionist raids targeting eastern Lebanon, marking the 6th consecutive day of violent aggression in the region, including the south and southern suburbs. The airstrikes on Baalbek Hermel resulted in 21 fatalities and 47 injuries. Notably, at least 17 members of a single family were killed in a raid on their home in Alain, northern Bekaa Valley. The Lebanese news agency stated as well that the bodies of these martyrs have been recovered, while search efforts continue for any potential survivors trapped under the rubble. Still with the Zionist airstrikes on the region, this time on towns in western Bekaa, eastern Lebanon, which resulted in the deaths of 4 people and injured 4 others. The Public Health Emergency Operations Center reported that strikes targeted Jeb Janin, leading to 3 fatalities and 2 injuries, with 1 individual requiring intensive care. In a separate incident, another person was killed and 2 others injured in an airstrike on the town of Yaher. The occupation forces intensified their airstrikes on Sunday across several towns in southern Lebanon, as reported by Lebanese media. Warplanes targeted the outskirts of Rish Kanani and flew low over Juzain, while in Balabak, 2 strikes hit Nabi Sheet, with one destroying a residential building. In another related development, Nasser Yassin, coordinator of Lebanon's Emergency Committee, reported that the Zionist warplanes carried out 216 airstrikes across various regions of the country in the last 24 hours. On Sunday, the strikes intensified, targeting homes and civil defense centers in villages and towns in southern Lebanon and the southern suburbs of Beirut, leading to dozens of casualties. Lebanese and international media reported that the Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah's body was eventually recovered from the site of the Zionist airstrike in the southern suburbs of Beirut. Recovered on Saturday, the body was taken to a hospital for examinations. Initial reports indicate no direct injuries, suggesting that the death may have been resulted from a shock due to the blast intensity. Hezbollah announced the death of leader Ali Karki, also known as Abu al-Fadil, in an Israeli airstrike on Sunday. Karki was killed alongside Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah in Haret Harik, Beirut. A top commander and prominent member of Hezbollah's military wing, Karki had previously survived an assassination attempt in February when Israeli forces targeted his vehicle in Nabatiyah. Meanwhile, Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati reaffirmed the country's commitment to implementing Resolution 1701, stating that the army is prepared to execute it. After a meeting of the Government Emergency Committee on Sunday, he emphasized that halting the ongoing Israeli aggression through diplomatic efforts is the government's top priority, describing diplomacy as the only viable option.
We will not hesitate for a moment to continue the role of diplomacy, and we have no other option but the diplomatic route. If you notice, since the beginning of the war, we have stated that the government is committed to fully implementing Resolution 1701. I also mentioned this in my speech at the Security Council, and all Lebanese confirm this matter because we have said that no matter the scale of the war and no matter what happens, we will have to return to Resolution 1701. Therefore, let us spare the shedding of blood and implement the agreement.
Najib Mikati announced as well that Lebanon has surpassed 1 million internally displaced persons. This comes as marking the largest displacement in the country's history. He described the current wave of displacement as unprecedented, with many citizens fleeing their homes in search of safety and shelter.
The number is very significant and could reach 1 million people, 1 million Lebanese. This could be the largest population displacement in the history of Lebanon.
And as Zionist aggression escalates, the death toll exceeds 1,000, and nearly 1 million Lebanese have fled from the south to the north to escape the crisis. Here's Marwa Bilaiwar with the report now.
Hundreds of displaced families spent the night in public spaces across Beirut after heavy airstrikes pummeled the city's southern suburbs. As darkness fell, people fled their homes, leaving behind them everything to find themselves stranded and displaced in their own country. Many sought refuge in city squares, beaches, or their cars, as shelters in school quickly overflowed.
We fled from our homes, and God knows if we will go back to our homes. God only knows. May God protect the people who were displaced from their homes and those who fled Baalbek and the south and all the areas affected by the war. May God protect them.
The forced displacement by the occupation has not only affected Lebanese but also Syrian refugees, now left on the streets after being turned away from shelters.
I fled from Syria, and now again I fled Dahia to Beirut here. And my situation is really bad. I have a family, 5 daughters, and my brother's family, and we don't know where to go. That is the problem. We don't know what our fate is.
Under the cover of this war, families are being uprooted, echoing scenes of Gaza's tragic past.
I was screaming while the strikes were above us. We just want a safe place. We do not need clothes or aid or food or drink. We just want a safe place so that our children are not afraid. We left the Syrian war on the sake of the children. We came here and the same war happened.
Lebanon, already torn by political and economic crisis, is on the brink of collapse. Amid continuous shelling, families across Lebanon face an uncertain future, left to wonder where the next safe haven might be.
Similarly, an atmosphere of concern has set over the city of Tripoli in Lebanon, still with residents fearing a return to chaos as the Zionist airstrikes escalate in the region. Salman Asib reports now.
The announcement of the assassination of the Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, has deeply shocked Lebanon, especially amid intensified Zionist raids on residential areas in Beirut and the south of the country. In Tripoli, where many Lebanese have sought refuge, the atmosphere feels frozen, as residents are torn between sadness, fear, and uncertainty about their future and the future of their country.
The country is racing towards ruin. We have been here for about 70 years, from the 1958 war to today, and we haven't experienced a single day of happiness. Where is the country going? It is heading towards destruction. May God protect these people, keep them safe and soothe their hearts. Oh Lord, for the love of the Prophet, where are we going? We are heading towards the worst.
Lebanon finds itself suddenly on the brink of disaster, particularly with rumors of an imminent large-scale ground operation by the Zionist army. As questions arise about Nasrallah's potential successor, many Lebanese express their frustration with the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, the elderly who endured the worst crisis of the 1980s live with the fear of plunging once again in chaos.
All I can say is that my God, have mercy on him. He was a respected person, and everything is in God's willing. But the country is moving toward destruction and chaos.
The country is surrounded by uncertainty, as if time has stopped. On Saturday, the Lebanese government declared 3 days of national mourning, and calls for calm are increasing. The assassination of Hezbollah leader and the escalation of attacks against Lebanon could drag the entire region into an intense conflict. On Sunday, the Zionist army struck areas in Syria, especially the Homs region, as well as Hunaida in Yemen, where the situation is becoming increasingly volatile.
Meanwhile, Iran has called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council following the death of Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah in a Zionist airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs. Iran's ambassador to the UN, Amir Saeed Iravani, urged the Council to take immediate action to stop the Zionist aggression and prevent a broader conflict.
The Secretary of State once again attempts to wrongly place the blame on Iran.
In another reaction on Sunday, Salah Goujil, president of Algeria's Council of the Nation, condemned the systematic and cowardly assassination occurring in Lebanon. After a meeting with Slovenia's National Assembly President Urška Klakočar-Zopančić, he expressed his outrage over the attacks on the Palestinian people and the ongoing violations of Lebanon's sovereignty.
Slovenia is a non-permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations and stands firmly for world peace, for the recognition of the resolutions of the United Nations, and calls for immediate stop to the war in the Middle East.
To other topical news, I'm saying on Sunday, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reported 9 deaths and at least 41 injuries in the last 24 hours due to the ongoing Zionist bombardments. Since October 7th, the death toll from the occupation offensive has now risen to 41,595, with 96,201 injured and tens of thousands still missing under the rubble and in the streets. At least 6 Palestinians were killed and others injured in a Zionist airstrike on northern Gaza early Sunday. 3 individuals died from an airstrike on a residential apartment in Gaza City, while 2 were killed near Kamal Udwan Hospital in Jabalia camp. Another strike in Al Elmi area resulted in at least 1 more death. Additionally, medical sources reported that 4 displaced persons were killed and 15 others, mostly children and women, were injured due to the Zionist airstrike on Al Fahm school in the Sultan area west of Beit Lahia.
الآن يتم إنقاذ أحد المواطنين الذين تم انتشالهم أيضا في الزاوية الأخرى هنا ما زالت.
Still with the same topic, on Sunday morning, 6 Palestinians were injured by Zionist forces in Aqaba, north of Tubas, resulting in 1 arrest. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported that 5 individuals were hospitalized, with 1 in critical condition. Clashes erupted during the incursion, leading to additional injuries among Palestinians. And over the weekend, Zionist forces arrested 40 Palestinians in an unprecedented campaign across the occupied West Bank. The Prisoners' Authority reported that more than 11,000 arrests have occurred since the start of the offensive, affecting all segments of Palestinian society, including workers and thousands from Gaza. These arrests have been accompanied by extrajudicial killings and severe beatings of Palestinians. Settlers stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque with Zionist forces protection, conducting provocative Talmudic rituals and performing tours. The old city of Al-Quds is under heightened military measures, meanwhile, including thorough searches and assault on Palestinians and worshippers. Algeria and Slovenia reaffirmed their support for a just solution to the Palestinian issue during a meeting between Algerian Senate President Salah Gujil and Slovenian National Assembly President Orshka Kalkuchar Zupanovic. Gujil urged Slovenia to collaborate with Algeria at the UN for a fair resolution, while Zupanovic called for an immediate ceasefire in the Palestinian territories.
We are very concerned of what is happening in the Middle East, in Gaza, and we have condemned the atrocities that are happening to the Palestinian people. Slovenia has recognized Palestina, a Palestinian state, as a sovereign and independent state, and the parliament has adopted this decision in June this year. And the decision was adopted quickly. In the parliament, we were working for the whole day when we got the governmental decision, so we did our job in 1 day.
And finally, in this file, Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf held bilateral talks in New York with his Mauritanian counterpart, Mohammed Salem Ould Marzouk. The meeting addressed the developments in the Middle East amid the ongoing war in Gaza and the extension of the Zionist escalation to Lebanon and the broader region. They also discussed coordination on various issues within the African Union framework. To other topical developments, Zionist forces conducted new airstrikes on Yemen's Hodeidah port for the second time. Al Masira reported that the strikes targeted Hudaydah and Rasi supports, as well as 2 power stations. The same source reported the deaths of 4 individuals, including a port worker and 3 engineers at the Hali power station, along with 33 injuries. Rescue teams are still searching for missing persons. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune welcomed Orshka Kalokchar-Zopanocic, the President of Slovenia's National Assembly. A statement from the Algerian presidency indicated that the meeting included Speaker of People's Assembly Brahim Boughali, Director of the Presidential Office Boualem Boualem, and Secretary General of the Foreign Ministry Lounas Magrame. And following her meeting with Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, the President of Slovenia's National Assembly emphasized the shared values between Algeria and Slovenia as members of the UN Security Council. She highlighted the catastrophic events in the Middle East, reaffirming Slovenia's recognition of Palestinian statehood and expressing deep regret over the ongoing killings of children in Gaza.
Slovenia and Algeria have a lot in common in their bilateral and international relations. We will work closely with Algeria on all outstanding issues, and we will be a strong voice in favor of peace, the oppressed and those who cannot defend themselves, and I mean the catastrophe that has been happening in the Middle East for almost a year. What is sad for humanity is the killing of children. We call for peace to be established in Gaza and call on Netanyahu to end this war now, as there is a lot of suffering and we cannot remain silent in the face of this aggression.
To other Algeria-related news, Algeria has called on the Group of 77 plus China to advocate for comprehensive reforms in the international financial system to better represent developing countries. At a UN meeting commemorating the group's 60th anniversary, Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf emphasized the importance of unity in global forum to tackle the $4 trillion financing gap hindering development efforts.
We are called upon to mobilize our efforts to push the international community towards further development, a significant issue that weighs heavily on development efforts in the financing gap, estimated at $4 trillion, according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. From this standpoint, it is important that we speak with one voice on this matter, raising it in various international forums, particularly during the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development.
Still with the same file, the Algerian minister emphasized the necessity of collective action within the Group of 77 to tackle challenges such as reducing developmental disparities, combating poverty, managing debt, and achieving sustainable development goals. He also recalled the historic Charter of Algiers from October 1964 as a significant milestone in their efforts.
It is also worth noting that our meeting coincides with the 60th anniversary of the establishment of this bloc. Allow me to cite the historic Charter of Algiers and its founding in October 1964, a charter that laid the foundations of the Group of 77. Her strategic goals are defined by a vision full of ambition and optimism. On this occasion, our alliance carries the aspirations of the world's people, and we strive to confront challenges, foremost among them, the elimination of development disparities between the global north and south, winning the battle against poverty, addressing the burden of debt, and achieving the sustainable development goals through various means and dimensions.
Algeria expressed its full support for UN General Assembly President Clement Yang in strengthening Africa's role in international efforts. During discussions in New York, Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf emphasized pride in having an African leader and highlighted the Assembly's contribution to Africa's priorities, including UN Security Council reform and the restructuring of financial institutions. And during the 79th UN General Assembly in New York, Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf held bilateral talks with several counterparts, including Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Indian Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, Eritrean Foreign Minister Osman Saleh Mohammed Kalani Kaniku of the Marshall Islands, and Beninese Foreign Minister Olusegun Ajadi Bakari. In other development, Algerian Energy Minister Mohamed Arqab announced a tripartite meeting for the oil ministers of Algeria, Niger and Nigeria to approve the Trans-Saharan pipeline project. This announcement came during a press conference with Niger's petroleum minister in Algiers, where Arqab noted that a feasibility study for the project will commence soon.
The fourth area we discussed is a very important and strategic project, the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, which links Nigeria, Niger and Algeria. We agreed to hold a ministerial meeting as soon as possible. We will coordinate also with the Nigerian minister to determine the date and location for the meeting between Niger and Algeria to discuss this project, which has already begun with technical studies. We will continue holding meetings with the committee composed of the three ministers in charge of this project so that we can launch it within the deadlines.
Le second projet d'intérêt commun qui concerne le Niger.
This project of mutual interest, in which we discussed with the Algerian Minister of Energy, we discussed another project concerning Niger, Algeria and Nigeria, which is the Trans-Saharan pipeline project. We included it in our roadmap and examined how and when we can hold a trilateral meeting to agree on the actual launch of the project.
The Algerian Minister of Energy and Mines announced as well that Algeria and Niger have agreed to provide facilities to the Algerian Sonatrach Group for a research and exploration project in the Kafra area north of Niger. Minister Arqab confirmed Algeria's readiness to invest in refining and petrochemical sectors in Niger, aiming to lay the groundwork for strong strategic partnership and actual projects.
The second project is also very important, supporting our partners in Niger, especially the company Solidep, partner of Sonatrach, which is involved in hydrocarbons in Niger. This support for Solidep includes training in all aspects of the hydrocarbon sector, from exploration to exploitation, production, transportation and marketing. Additionally, a very important aspect of the third project is how to establish a processing industry in Niger for the first time, focusing on oil refining and petrochemical industries. This is a specialty of Algeria, particularly with Sonatrach, in various fields of petrochemicals and the production of raw materials for multiple industrial applications.
Well, Minister Arqab also announced that an agreement has been reached to integrate Nigerian executives into training programs and practical internships within the structures and branches of the Algerian Sonatrach Group.
In today's meeting, we discussed several key points, the most important of which is the Kafra project, which Sonatrach is undertaking in the areas of exploration and exploitation in the hydrocarbon sector. As you know, the Kafra project is one of Sonatrach's significant discoveries in the region. Fortunately, we have achieved good results and we have moved on to the next phase of exploration to develop it. We agreed on a timeline to inaugurate this field and proceed with it at an accelerated pace to become an oil producer in the region.
Niger's oil minister Sahabi Umaru expressed his country's readiness or eagerness to benefit from Algeria's expertise in training executives and technicians to effectively manage the hydrocarbon sector.
Algeria is a large country with an energy reference and has a lot of experience that will help Niger advance in the hydrocarbon sector and allow us to develop in it, as we consider ourselves to be in the starting phase. We are well aware that if we do not have the capabilities, we cannot achieve what we aspire to in the oil experience. This can only be realized by engaging with Algeria and learning from the Algerian experience.
And in a different development, Slovenia's National Assembly Speaker Urška Kalakučar-Zupanučić expressed her country's support for the UN process to resolve the Sahrawi issue during a meeting with Algerian Council of the Nation President Salah Goujil in Algiers. Goujil reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination as stated by President Abdelmajid Tebboune. The Polisario Front has declared that Morocco plays a significant role in fostering instability in Africa. In a closing statement from its fifth regular session in Dakhla, chaired by Sahrawi President Ibrahim Ghali, the Polisario warned that Morocco's threats to continental security extend beyond expansionist policies to include support for organized crime and foreign subversive agendas in the region.
The Moroccan occupation state is a key player in the rise in tension, unrest and instability throughout the Northwest African region. Its policies are not limited to expansionism, aggression, and the systematic trafficking of its drugs, as well as supporting and encouraging organized crime gangs in all their forms and terrorist groups. It also facilitates the passage of foreign destructive agendas in the region.
Similarly, the Polisario Front reiterated that the UN African Settlement Plan of 1991 is the sole practical solution for the conflict in occupied Western Sahara.
The UN Africa Settlement Plan of 1991, which was accepted by the conflicting parties, the Polisario Front and Morocco, and unanimously approved by the Security Council, is the only practical and realistic solution based on consensus for the Western Sahara conflict. The obstruction of the Sahara people's exercise of their right to self-determination will remain the responsibility of the United Nations and its mission, and the delays and obstacles that hinder this process will lead to further threats to security and stability.
For more international news stories making headlines around the globe, let's follow this report by Sofian Kanturi now.
After serving 2 years for assault, a 30-year-old man is now finding new purpose through the XO Bikes training program. Founded by Steph Jones in March 2022, the initiative aims to reintegrate former inmates by providing hands-on work with bicycles from private clients and businesses. Participants dismantle, clean and repair bikes, selling them through the association's website and 2 retail locations. Many people face significant barriers to employment upon release, often overlooked by recruiters. Recognizing this challenge, Jones created XO Bikes to offer job skills and a supportive environment. Gary Oakley, a mechanic trainee and former inmate, shares.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a good thing for me to do. If I didn't have this, I'd probably turn to crime again. Do you know what I mean? So this has kept me out the criminal path.
Employees can earn £31,000 annually or leverage their newfound skills for other job opportunities. As Jones notes,
isn't it, the story behind the guy. So you've got a bike with a past and a bloke with a past, and you're giving them both a crack at a decent future. That's the idea.
XO Bikes is transforming lives, proving that with the right support, reintegration is not just a dream, but a reality.
Well, that was actually London's Lewis Ham Shopping Centre, a 2-year-old non-profit training for former prisoners to repair bicycles, aiming to reduce reoffending and prison overcrowding. That was Yassine Irikti. Now we can turn on to the news in brief by Sofian Kanturi.
Tunisian President Kais Saied hailed the approval of an electoral law amendment by the House of Representatives as a historic decision, reflecting national responsibility. He expressed gratitude to the council members for recognizing the potential threats to the country and emphasized that laws are enacted in the name of the Tunisian people.
The U.S. Agency for International Development announced $5 million in aid for Sudanese refugees in Libya due to the ongoing conflict in Sudan. Collaborating with UNICEF and the World Food Programme, the aid addresses urgent needs and encourages other donors to increase their support.
The Russian Ministry of Defense announced it shot down 125 Ukrainian drones overnight from Saturday to Sunday, targeting areas including Volgograd and Belgorod. The Sumy region reported 10 dead and 22 injured, with 5 in critical condition. Additionally, the UN's Daniel Bell revealed that explosive drones hit the St. Panteleimon Medical Center twice, resulting in casualties, primarily during the second strike.
Patrol boats and helicopters searched for about 48 missing migrants after their boat sank near the Spanish island of Hierro, potentially marking one of the deadliest incidents in 30 years of crossings from Africa to the Canary Islands. 9 people, including a child, have been confirmed dead following the sinking in the early hours of Saturday.
The end of our news program. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care.